Hello guys, welcome back again. I have finished my exams and finally be able to come back to make more YouTube videos. And today I'm gonna share with you on a topic that has always in my mind, which is how to draw character illustrations with colors. And today I'm gonna split it into 4 parts, which is form capturing, perspectives, colors, and compositions. Before I dive into each sections, I'm gonna show you this. This is Makima from Chainsaw Man. And this is the first ever illustrations I've made after learning the 4 topics that I mentioned just now. Today, I won't talk in details for each of them, but the aim is to let you have an awareness of what they are and know what are the fundamentals for each sections so that you have a better picture on what to learn about when thinking about drawing a character, okay? So part 1 is form capturing, and it is the ability to draw what we see and train our hand-eye coordinations. In other words, we want to have a reference on the canvas while being able to draw it out quite accurately on the canvas. In terms of the process, so we would get the reference out. Let's say we have the cat over here, and then first of all, we'll draw out the general outline of it to ensure the size of what we're drawing is quite precise. And then going on, we'll double check it. It doesn't look well, we'll do an adjustment afterwards. And then finally, we'll draw out the details and check it again. That's the general steps of doing form capturing. When learning this, accuracy is really important, and we want to ensure that what we draw is 80%, at least 80% accurate, okay? To support that, we should learn about how to simplify complex shapes into simpler forms. So for example, thighs. Thighs is quite difficult because there are quite a lot of curves. But if we use straight lines, then it will be easier for us to sense the proportion of it. So compared to using more curvy lines all the time, try to summarize these curves into straight lines is what I mean by complex to simpler shapes. Finally, in terms of the angles, it is quite important though, to be honest. Like for this pose, the slope angle of this character is like this. But previously, when I wasn't really aware of this concept, what ended up is me drawing the character looking dead straight, which is quite boring, isn't it? Like something like this. I'll draw something like this. It's just very straight. So that's what I mean by aware of the angles. So part 2 is perspectives, and it's the ability to create an imaginary space on canvas. 2 most important concepts beneath it is 1, learning the 1, 2, 3 point perspectives and vanishing points. So go and research on the horizon lines and things related to it. Just understand the concept behind it. The other concept is box rotations and angles, and this is really important. Previously, I have seen a lot of YouTube videos on, oh, you should draw 100 boxes every day. It's gonna be very helpful. But I didn't really understand it until recently when I finally grasped the applications of these angles and box rotations. So I got this reference over here, and we'll just pick out 1/4 of the sections to here. When looking at a box, we should think about 2 different angles. So I got this over here. So first of all is the sideway views. How side is this cube facing you? So this is the front view, right? 0 degrees. Is it 22.5, 45, 67.5, or 90 degrees? So that's the frontal rotations. And now another thing we should consider is the camera angle. So is the camera 0 degrees, looking this way, 22.5, 45, 67.5, or obviously 90 degrees, or the other way around. Then after learning these and being able to identify them, draw them out, you will be able to expand your knowledge to this area, and that area. With that, you can have a lot of different applications after learning this box rotations. So in terms of the how to use it, there are a few different scenes that we can use, scenarios that we can use it. So first of all, for example, we got this scene, which is a 1-point perspective, quite obviously. If I want to rotate this table over here, which is a somewhat like a longer cube, into a different angle, then it will require our knowledge on the perspectives as well as the cube rotations. So first of all, we can bring in 2 imaginary vanishing points, still on the same horizon line, and point it out, and then start drawing the cube according to it. Then it will make this new table seems like it's inside the, still fits the plane, still fits the scene, but then it looks like it's rotated. Then it will make the illustration very boring, that everything is following the same vanishing points. At least something is different, something is rotated. Another application is that you can, with the knowledge of that, you can put in different objects or characters inside the scene. So for example, you can draw a character now because you knew the the perspectives, so you could draw it according to the new vanishing points. Another application for that is heads and torso relationships. So with the knowledge of this, and I brought out the cube of the body. And let's say if I want to rotate Makima's head towards either side, then first of all, we'll identify where her head is. So it was somewhere here, right? 45 degrees. And if I want her head to be rotated, I can bring out my knowledge from this cube and then pick out this one and then bring it here, make it bigger, reduce it. Then as you can see that Makima's head is turned to the right side. Or if I want her head to be looking upwards, then I could bring out this again, pick out this. This is the original one. And we could pick this one out, and then bring it down here, make it bigger. Now it seems like Makima's head is like this, looking upwards and looking down. So this is one of the applications. It can also be applied for bodies and hip as well. So certain poses requires the character to turn, right? So like this, or lean forward, lean backwards. There will be a similar relationship to torso and heads, but it's just now become torso and the hip. So bodies and characters also require the knowledge of perspectives. It's the different angle relationships between each boxes that makes the character body looks like they're turning around or having different poses. So when drawing cars, perspectives can also be added in so that it makes this object looks more logical and makes sense. This will apply to cars, guns, buildings, tanks, things like that, which requires quite some knowledge from perspectives. So before we talk about colors, I want to share with you my understanding about foam capturing and perspectives in combinations. With the foam capturing, we are able to draw things with accuracies from reference, as well as learn how to summarize complex things into a simpler shape for us to draw it out. And with the knowledge of perspectives, we know how the cubes can be rotated, as well as how things look like when they are rotated around in different angles. Now with that in mind, we could start learning the proportions of bodies. So how the arms, the forearm and the upper arm should be similar lengths. How long is the torso, how long is the legs. And we can start to learn about the torso, different parts of the bodies, including heads, arms, legs, and feet, and then put them into the cube to learn more about their 3D relationships. Then, with that in mind, we can combine them together, making our own mind model in our brain. And then, with that, we can start to change poses. We can add clothes to this character. We can change the camera angle from low angle to high angle, different kind of weird angles. Now, overall, drawing characters will be much easier comparing to always looking for the reference, looking for a character holding an umbrella, looking for a photo where a character is eating something. With this understanding and your own model, then you can just draw it out. So that's my understanding about how both abilities can be applied, and I hope that this gives you a bit of guidance to how to progress in drawing characters as well. In terms of colors, there are three important things I want to talk about. That will be the base color, shadings, and lightings. We'll touch a little bit for each of them. The first of all is HSB and the base colors. When it comes to colors, we should think about three important variables about it. So that will be hue, saturation, and brightness. So what I mean by that is that when looking at this color, previously I would just say it's a red. It's very easy, it's a red. But now, we should also think about what the saturation is and the brightness of it. So looking at right side, the advanced color selectors over here, it's quite a high saturation and a mid to high brightness. And for this color, it's actually a purple. So it's a purple, but it has a low brightness but a middle to high saturation. And the reason why we should think it this way is that it will be able to help us identify what colors when we're drawing certain things. So for example, when learning about skin colors, different hair colors, we can treat it as, oh, so is this color, this is a color of orange, and then quite a high brightness, slightly low saturation, somewhere here, a bit of orange over here. Then it will make coloring a bit more easy comparing to just treating it as an orange. And there's so many orange over here. I don't know which one it is. So as you can see that, well, it doesn't look like it. So it means that this color is a bit orangey. So just give it a bit orange. That'll be like a skin color. Treat it with three variables allows us to identify the colors quite accurately. Another thing to learn about is the advanced color selectors. So just a basic understanding about it. On the outside is a hue. When the value is going right, it means the saturation is going up. So the colors become more vibrant. And when going down, obviously the brightness comes down. That's all. Another topic to learn about is the relative coldness and warmness. But I won't talk about it over here. That's too much already. But going on to the shadings, it's a bit complex, but I'll try my best to make it as simple as possible. So in terms of the shadings, we often see this image, right? This image over here, where when the light is shined to an object, then they'll have the cast shadows, core shadows, reflected highlights, things like that. But that was very confusing for me when I was learning this. So I saw somewhere in the YouTube where they said you could just split it into two values first. So what it means is that when the light is shined towards an object, so let's look at this. You can see that this part is darker, this part is lighter. So it split this cube into two values already. And when doing that, it helps us understand, first of all, where the direction of the light is from, as well as when learning about clothes and folds, you would notice that certain clothes have quite a easy pattern for folds. Like over here, you can see that for male body, the pattern of the clothes is most likely to be this. You could just learn these in terms of the folds. So that's quite a beneficial practice in terms of learning the two values. It helps you understand the structures a bit more, especially when drawing clothes and bodies. And then after that, you will expand the colors into even more values. So what I mean by that is that we know there's the bright and dark, right? So for bright areas, we will give a brighter color to that and a slightly darker color to this bright area. And for the dark area, we would give the darker tone for this dark area, as well as the brighter tone for this dark area. So a little bit of example for that would be, first of all, when looking at something, our brain try to figure out where the direction of the light is, and then find out the structure of it using only two values, only two colors. And then after that, for the darker areas, you will start to add in even darker areas. And then for the light areas, you will start to add lighter parts for that. Then that, hopefully that provides a structure for you when it comes to shading. So in terms of the application wise, if we bring out this photo again, after learning identify the skin colors, then we could start to figure out where the darker area is and the bright area is. And then after that, we would then go on to find a darker area for that dark tones and slightly brighter area for that one. And for this one, we would just treat it the same way as well. Then you will have a color palette for this skin already. So that's my understanding about how color palettes is usually formed. In terms of how to practice this, we can get a reference over here. So let's say I got this reference of a man wearing a suit. And first of all, we'll cover this reference with pure white with a normal layer. And then after that, in the layer mode, we'll choose saturation over here. You can see, sorry, hold on. So we'll choose saturation over here. So choose it, saturation. Then it will make the reference into black and white. And after that, we'll open another layer, normal layer, choose a right middle, like middle gray over here, cover it up. And then in terms of the layer mode, we will choose hard mix Photoshop, which is where you can find it over here. Then you'll be able to see that the illustration has become black and white completely. If it is difficult to recognize where the folds are because the whole character is just dark, then you can use Control L, and then adjust it a little bit more. So that's a bit too dark. And then like that. Then we can start to learn the folds of the suit. So this way. Going on to part 3, which is the lightings. So lightings is a more interesting topic. We can split it into environmental light and direct light. So in terms of environmental light, it means the general color or the lights in this room or in this area. So a more exaggerated example would be these two references over here. So we can see that this one, the character is standing in a quite a bluey, very, very blue room. And this one is a pink one. In terms of how to use it, so we should think about two variables. So the colors, what the colors are, as well as the intensities. So examples of it. So we can use multiply mode and then choose a blue color, quite a bright color over here. And then we could try it out. Now, as you can see, that Makima now is standing in a similar room as this one over here. In terms of the intensities, we could lower the intensity by reducing the opacity or increasing the opacity. Same as this orange room, just choose a orangey color over here. As you can see that now Makima is standing similar to this room. Or let's say she is in the sunset, then we could give her like this. And now it seems like Makima is standing in the sunset, where the general light around that area is quite orangey. The other light source that we should consider is the direct light, which is the one I used to know. For this one, we have 3 different variables to consider. First of all, it's obviously the colors. It can be white, orange, any colors, to be honest, as well as the intensities as well. But for this one, we should also consider the direction of the light. So for example, in my room, you can see that this light over here, we can treat it as a directional light. It's shining bright from the top of my head to my body. Then it will be quite similar to this one over here. Then in terms of trying it on Makima, then we could use color dodge and choose a quite a dark color, please. Don't choose it too bright. It's gonna make it too catchy and flashy. Choose a darker color and then start to draw it out. Then as you can see that now Makima is getting the quite a direct light from the top. So you can combine both of them together. To create 2 different light sources, and this makes the illustration quite interesting. Finally, a bit more extra information about colors are the special techniques that you can do. To bring out this, there are some techniques I learned from Kranz and Ask. The first of all is the ham slice. It's quite interesting, you know. As you can see over here, there's quite a high saturation colors between the light tones and the dark tones, the bright tones and the dark tones. That's a ham slice that Kranz, the artist of this illustration, was talking about. So you can see that over here, that's the high saturation color, over here, over here, over here. And for this one, that one over here. And this technique, these kind of special techniques allows to give more information to the illustrations, so that the drawings and characters is not that boring with just plain shadings, base colors, lightings, things like that. It can give a bit more taste to that. Another thing that I learned about is color hiding. It's the knowledge of using coldness and warmness. So let's say I bring this color out. In terms of adding the coldness to it, we can add a bit blue to it and then add it in like that. It will make the certain parts of the character looks colder compared to the other areas, but then the colors won't be so obvious that it will distract your attention. So that's the general concept of color hidings. For other techniques, you can also look at other YouTubers' videos, such as Mark Brunate's certain videos. For example, the style analysis, like this one, and this one. These ones have quite a lot of these special techniques inside to spice up your illustrations a bit more. Finally, in terms of compositions, this is the part that I'm not very good at, but I'll try my best to explain what I learned, okay? Composition is the placement of the things and also the usage of the colors, so that we create a contrast for our audience to look at and to focus on. There are different ways to create contrasts, such as using warmth and cold, in terms of using the base color differences, using the bright and dark or clear and blur borders of it. So a bit of example for that would be this. So I got some illustrations from Kranz and Victor Clocks. So over here is Kranz illustration. On the first glance of this illustration, my attention is being attracted to here. And in terms of the contrast wise, we look at the general color composition of these illustrations. Then mainly it's these colors. So quite a orangey, red, purplish colors. But then here comes a random bluish green color. Then this contrast is very catchy. It's very special for me, special for my eyes. So that's where my eyes is gonna be focused on. These two are quite a characteristic illustration for using light and dark contrasts. So over here, obviously my eyes will be mainly focusing on here, maybe here as well, where the contrast of the light is so massive. You can see over here that my eyes just stick to it. Similar to this one as well. This is very dark. This part is extremely bright. That's the contrast I was mentioning about. This illustration was the usage of clear and blur borders. So as you can see over here that this character has a more defined borders and outlines compared to these characters over here. Also, it used the concept of crowded and singleness. In terms of that, it means that, for example, this character is standing alone, whereas these parts is like people compacting together. Then that creates a contrast. If I bring out a diagram that shows what I mean, it will be something like this. So where the other elements is quite normal, quite general, quite similar to each other, here comes a extremely special element to this illustration. And then it will draw our eyes towards this part. You can have different focal points on an illustration as well, but just to ensure there's a king and a queen and soldiers. It's not everyone is a king. Okay, so don't make the illustration having too many focal points or two focal points, but the intensity is the same. Then it will make the audience eyes a bit confused on what you want them to look at. Hope that makes sense. Another way of composing an art is using flow lines. So I found these two photographs, and it's quite a similar concept behind this. So let's say if I bring, don't know, a bird going this way, and then the cloud is going that way as well, then it seems like these lines, this line, this line, is directing my eyes towards this character. That's what I mean by flow lines. A iconic example for that would be this one, Mai Yoneyama. This artist's illustration is amazing. It's fantastic. And over here, we will be able to see the quite obvious flow lines in this illustration. Let me bring out quite a massive pan here, like this, right? Over here, over here, over here, like the hairs. Seems like everything is directing our eyes towards the character's face and towards her hands. So that's what I mean by flow lines. A few final concepts behind this is the rule of thirds and the golden spiral rule. And this is where we try to put things according to this spiral compositions to guide our eyes from here to here to here to here to here, and then going on to the focal point. And for this one, it's the concept where we put the important focal points in around these areas of the illustrations. So that's all I know about compositions. So that's everything I want to share today. Thank you very much for watching until now. That's a lot of talking today. I hope these 4 concepts and the things I talk about helps you understand the connections between each of them. And I really hope that this video helped relieve a bit of directionless and the sense of feeling lost when it comes to how to draw characters. If you have any questions or concerns, just feel free to comment below, or I have a Google form in the description. You can fill it out anonymously if you prefer to do it that way. And thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching until now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.